Good evening, you're watching No Spin. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Is it the end game for Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray in Maharashtra? Well, what a day it's been today, with more MLAs of the Shiv Sena apparently moving into the camp of his rival Eknath Shinde, who's sitting in Guwahati in Assam. The Shiv Sena in the last 1 hour has moved to disqualify a number of rebel MLAs. They are sending pleas to the Deputy Speaker of the Assembly to disqualify at least 17 of the MLAs who have fled to the rebel camp. That number now stands at about 37, which is 2/3 of the 55 MLAs of the Shiv Sena in the Maharashtra Assembly. And that is the magic number that Eknath Shinde, the rebel leader, needs so that he doesn't invite the anti-defection law on him and the other MLAs, which means they will not be disqualified. However, the Shiv Sena has now turned this into clearly a legal battle as well. They have moved to disqualify 17 MLAs. In addition to the 37 Shiv Sena MLAs that have so far appeared with Eknath Shinde in Guwahati, there are a few more who are independents, bringing that count up to 42 so far. And what we are hearing is that more could be on their way in the next 24 hours. The rebels who are in Guwahati also released a video showing that they were voting for Eknath Shinde as their leader. Meanwhile, there were hectic meetings happening in Mumbai as well. Sharad Pawar spoke to the media this evening and said it is the floor test that will decide who actually has a majority, that he had seen these upheavals in Maharashtra politics before, but ultimately it would come down to the floor test. Also, in dramatic developments today, Sanjay Raut of the Shiv Sena said that if the rebels want the Sena to, Uddhav Thackeray to, then he's ready to break his alliance with the NCP and the Congress and consider that, but they would have to come back to Mumbai first and meet Uddhav Thackeray face to face. Well, joining us first on the program tonight is former Maharashtra Chief Minister and Senior Congress Leader, Mr. Prithviraj Chavan. Mr. Chavan, thanks very much for speaking to us. I just wanted to first get a sense from you about the seriousness of this crisis. Clearly, you know, Uddhav Thackeray is facing a crisis, but you all are not giving up either.
No, this is a serious crisis without a doubt. The largest component of the three-party alliance, the Shiv Sena, is apparently split. Now, whether the breakaway group will be recognized as the legal Shiv Sena, whether they will get a 2/3 majority, whether they can prove it before the Honorable Governor and the Speaker, the future will tell us. But there are also, on the other hand, attempts being made for a rapprochement. Some MLAs have been sent by the official group to Guwahati to negotiate a peace deal and all that. They are also being counted in the number of MLAs that you mentioned, the 37 MLAs. So whether the actual magic number of 2/3 MLAs of 37, Shiv Sena MLAs, not independents, if Shiv Sena 37 MLAs are with the rebel group and they're able to demonstrate before the governor in Mumbai, and only then the split will be sanctified. And then the split party can have its own constitution, they can take an independent political decision.
You're saying that some of the Shiv Sena MLAs who've gone to Guwahati in the last, I would say 24 hours or so, some of them are actually there to try and wean these rebels back. They're not necessarily in Mr. Shinde's camp. That's your claim.
No, this is what we've been told by the official Shiv Sena. We have no any way of verifying it. Many people were considered very close to Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. Have they really deserted him, or they going as peacemakers? We don't know. But that's what we've been told.
So why would they be let into? Why would they be let into that Radisson Blu Hotel in Guwahati if they were trying to be peacemakers?
No, but
are they infiltrators? Have you let the cat out of the bag?
No, I mean, also nobody wants the party to split. There are some serious differences. They can be resolved, patched up. If I don't think they've reached a point of no return. If they have, then there'll be a split, and we'll have to face the situation as it appears, right, as it presents itself. But first, the rebel group has to make a formal application to declare their faction as an official Shiv Sena faction, or to not to attract the anti-defection disqualification. There are many steps in between now.
I'll come back to that point in just a bit, Mr. Chavan, but also politically, we heard Sanjay Raut of the Shiv Sena saying that, Uddhav Thackeray can consider splitting from the MVA, the alliance that you're all in together in Maharashtra, if that is what the rebel MLAs want. So is this alliance, I mean, is the future of it now really a big question mark?
No, I think you don't take that statement very seriously. This is definitely an attempt to get the MLAs to come back to Mumbai face to face with the Uddhav Thackeray. Whatever Shiv Sena decides will be communicated to us by Mr. Uddhav Thackeray himself. In a meeting of the coordination committee of the three parties, that hasn't happened. We're in constant touch with him. Nothing of the sort has happened. And of course, if he wants to go back to BJP, he is a free man. He is an independent party. He can take a decision, conscious decision. We can't force him to stay in this alliance. It is because of all three parties agreed to form this alliance in 2019 that this alliance was formed and the government was formed. If they have a change of heart, if they want to take a different view, want to go back with BJP, they're of course free to do that. But they could have done that in 2019 itself. So I think you should see that statement in the light that they are trying to invite MLAs back to Mumbai.
So you don't see that as a genuine threat to leave the MVA. You don't see the possibility of the Shiv Sena going back to the BJP?
No, I think that will be a major step on Mr. Uddhav Thackeray's part, because the relations are so bitter. They're much more bitter than what they're between Mr. Eknath, Shinde and Uddhav Thackeray. But if they want to patch up, so be it, their decision. But we have not heard anything officially from Mr. Uddhav Thackeray at all.
Right. Mr. Chauhan,
we're in constant communication with him.
Right. Now, I'm presuming then, are you all working together with you, Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray, are you all working together behind the scenes, working the phones to see how this can be resolved?
Well, I don't think we have any role to play in convincing Mr. Eknath Shinde or the rebel MLAs who have gone with him. It's an internal issue of the Shiv Sena. If they ask for our help, if they ask that somebody like Mr. Sharad Pawar or somebody else should mediate, that will be a different session. But nobody has asked us to do anything of the sort. And so this issue will have to be resolved by Shiv Sena within their party ambit.
Mr. Chauhan, why do you think it is that if indeed Mr. Shinde there sitting in Guwahati has the numbers, that he and the BJP have not staked claim? Is that why you're saying that we should exercise some caution in declaring that they have the 2/3?
Well, actually, you see what can happen, and this is a hypothetical possibility. They may have a number of 37, which is the magic number. And when they go before the Honorable Governor, one or two MLAs say, no, we are not with them, we are going away. Then they'll all be disqualified under anti-defection law. It has to be a number greater than 2/3. Otherwise, it will be a split of less than 2/3 and they can be disqualified. So I don't think this can be taken very lightly. They'll build in a margin of safety and they'll have a much larger than 37 number with them. Only then they'll attempt it. Otherwise, why do you think they're not doing it so far? This number has been floated for quite some time now.
Right. Mr.
So they'll wait for more MLAs to come up.
So are we seeing a protracted, long battle? Is this something that's going to take some time to resolve?
At least a few days.
Okay.
It's not going to happen in the next couple of days.
All right, Mr. Chauhan, thank you very much for joining us on NDTV
Welcome.
this evening. Former Maharashtra Chief Minister, Senior Congress Leader Prithviraj Chauhan saying there we haven't reached a point of no return and that it is going to be a long drawn-out battle. Meanwhile, as we were speaking to Mr. Chauhan, these pictures have come in of 4 more MLAs arriving in Guwahati from Mumbai. Saurabh Gupta with us now from Mumbai. 3 of these MLAs, Saurabh, are apparently from the Shiv Sena.
Well, yes, Nidhi, and also, yes, the news is confirmed that the Sena will now act against the rebels also. The Sena delegation, we are being given to understand, is on the way to submit a petition to, the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker now, who has the Speaker's powers, and of course, to move this petition of disqualification. So, yes, in a way that is happening. Meanwhile, yes, there's a lot of back-channel talks that's going on. A lot of people are, talking to each other, even though the rebel camp seems to have more MLAs at this point. Really, it is about one-upmanship, because given that the Sena doesn't really have the numbers on its side, the rebels have the numbers. What it can do really is, in order to ensure that some of the rebels who don't want to be part of the other camp can come back. There is this news about the disqualification proceedings, and that's going to happen. That petition is going to be moved before the Deputy Speaker anytime now.
Right, and I think it's important to remember here the Deputy Speaker belongs to the NCP, that's part of the ruling coalition. There is no Speaker in the Maharashtra Assembly, and that is a separate story which I promise you is fascinating, and we'll get back to some other time. Saurabh, thanks very much for that. Let me go across to Justice Pradeep Nandrajog, the former Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, joining us this evening along with the rest of our panel. But Justice Nandrajog, just from a legal constitutional perspective, now that the Shiv Sena is moving to the Deputy Speaker and saying, look, disqualify 17 MLAs, what happens next from here? And is this going to be a very protracted, long drawn out battle that could end up in the courts?
Yes, it appears to be so. Frankly speaking, up till now, nobody has challenged the leadership of the current Chief Minister. Nobody has said that we've withdrawn support to him. They're saying that we are withdrawing support to his decision to form the government with the Congress. So unless they come out unequivocally saying that we have withdrawn support to the Chief Minister, nothing will get precipitated till then. And we'll have all these backroom maneuvers, moving the Deputy Speaker for disqualification. Even if they do, what is the particular act which would lead to disqualification? They haven't violated any party whip as yet. So therefore, the disqualification part seems to be a remote possibility as of now.
Right, but then it could also be a delaying tactic, couldn't it? I mean, that's just that would be a political move, wouldn't it, sir? Because
yes, it appeared to be.
Because the Deputy Speaker belongs to the NCP, he can sit on this, then it will go to court, and meanwhile, behind the scenes, so much else can happen. How long will they sit in Guwahati?
Well, unless I think the group which claims to have broken away writes to the governor that we have withdrawn support to Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. And since the House is not in session, it is prorogued, the governor would exercise his power under Article 175(2) of the Constitution, direct the Assembly to be convened and a floor test to be taken. That would be the only way out. But the move has to come from the rebels by saying, we have withdrawn support.
What happens though if you have a parallel situation where on one hand the Deputy Speaker has got these pleas to disqualify 17 MLAs and you have that battle playing out, and then you have the Eknath Shinde camp writing to the governor and saying, well, we've got the numbers, we've got along with the BJP. So what if there's a clash between those two?
Well, the clash would be like this. Frankly speaking, what have they done? I repeat, what have they done in law to be disqualified? They haven't defied a whip of the party as yet. There has been no whip issued. Now on the whip issue again, there will be a problem. The rebel group have nominated their person to be on the whip. So I think one best solution could be that under the circumstances, the governor should call for a special session of the Assembly and have a floor test.
That would be the fairest way.
Ultimately, it is the floor test, consistent views of the Supreme Court taken.
Then the question, of course, let me get to the rest of the panel. Tavleen Singh, the point is, this is not the first time we're seeing legislators being taken to special resorts and all the rest of it. It's been happening for a long time. It's been happening in state after state. But when do we as citizens and voters say enough is enough? Isn't this a mockery of democracy at every level?
Absolutely. And it's time that we said it now, because it really has gone too far. This whole circus that we've seen of them going to Surat first and then taking a special flight to Guwahati. What is all this about? If they are so sure of their position, why are they not in their constituencies? Why are they not actually saying what they want to as representatives of the people of Maharashtra in Maharashtra? What are they doing in Assam? It's not just a mockery of democracy. It's because we've been so casual about these things happening. Oh, again, they go off in a bus and now it's in Rajasthan and now it's here. And it's time that we, as responsible citizens, said it really has gone too far. I mean, look at those guys. What are they doing? 70 rooms in a hotel in Guwahati. What are they doing there? Why are they not in Bombay?
Absolutely. Clyde Crasto from the NCP is with us. Clyde, the thing that BJP spokespersons have been saying today, all day, is that, well, this, the Shiv Sena and the BJP had a pre-poll alliance in the last election. The Shiv Sena was the one that betrayed the mandate of the people and got into this unholy alliance with the NCP and the Congress. So that was a mockery of democracy. Why are you saying this is a mockery of democracy? What is your response to that?
Well, how can you call that a mockery of democracy? The point here is there are two different things altogether. If you look at it, there was one party that decided that they did not want to go with the party that they were with, and then they chose to go with the other party and form a government. But here, it's moving these rebel MLAs, moving them to Surat, from Surat then moving them to Guwahati. Some of them have complained that, we've been beaten up. Some say that others are afraid they've been, kind of holed up in that place. So this is obviously mockery of democracy, because you are bringing people out. We don't know. I mean, I'm just saying from what we hear from the other MLAs, who some have run away, some have walked about 4-5 kilometers and hitched a ride back to Mumbai. Somebody was given an injection. So all these things that are coming from people who have been there. So the fact of the matter is, if Eknath Shinde had the numbers, he should have come out in the open, and by now he should have said, I heard the gentleman speaking earlier that, that he probably don't have the numbers and they're looking at buff. I think Mr. Prithviraj Chauhan was talking about it. So that's what it is. So it is definitely a mockery of democracy, because you are taking people, pressurizing them, giving them, I mean, it could be anything. It's what we call horse trading. So that's completely against democracy. So I think, it is sad. And it is something that everybody needs to look at. I mean, if the ma'am earlier said was, them being holed up in Assam. Now you look at the situation in Assam, the floods, the rains, and then you have the government of Assam actually protecting these people. You have the police in Gujarat protecting these people. So what is happening? And then Mr. Shinde goes on to say, yes, there is a national party that is supporting you. So it's obvious that who's playing this, who's making a mockery of democracy. And I think it does not augur well for a situation that is going. All this situation that has been created.
But actually, let me ask Geeta Bhatt this. Geeta Bhatt, political analyst and BJP supporter with us. Geeta Bhatt, isn't the fairest thing at this point, given the mess that Maharashtra has been in now ever since the last election, shouldn't there just be fresh elections? Let the people decide again, rather than this khichdi that's going on, with agencies being used, money being used, muscle power being used, injections, like all kinds of things being used. Shouldn't there be fresh elections? Of course, none of the MLAs want that. They're too scared to go to the people.
Vidiji, you see, at present, the kind of, the political spectrum in Maharashtra, the way it is changing in the last 2 days, it is very, very evident that it is basically a revolt within the Shiv Sena, and it is the representatives, Shiv Sainiks, who've been elected to the assembly. They themselves can see what holds for them in the near future, and the kind of the political turmoil that has been created. I think that the tagline that your channel is showing at present, Matoshri uses Mahabharata. So when you stand or you endorse a dharma for your personal ambitions and for staying in, lust for power, then these kind of precarious situations will happen. But the point here is that at this point, one thing is for sure, that Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, I think, is very clear what holds for him in the near future, considering that he has already moved out of the official chief ministerial bungalow, lock, stock and barrel, back to his, own house. And also, what is important here is that these MLAs who have decided that they now no more consider Mr. Uddhav Thackeray as their leader, they are the ones who are actually calling the shots, and they are the ones under
Why do you think they're not
Shinde.
actually staking claim then? Why aren't they writing to the governor? Why is it taking so long?
Probably, probably they'll do it so in some time. That is for how things will unfold. That we will see. But one thing is for sure, that it is not just the pre-poll alliance that Shiv Sena and Mr. Uddhav Thackeray they broke at the 2019 assembly elections, but it was the trust of the people, because people voted for them. We voted for Uddhav Thackeray because he had a pre-poll alliance with the BJP. So that factor is also there. It is not about just, breaching ties with the political
But does that justify the use of agencies, money, muscle power, using private jets, chartered planes, hotels, state machinery, police, holding MLAs in hotels like this? Does all of that justify this kind of politics?
They are, I'm sure that we don't see these MLAs, as if they are being hoarded or, taken by force somewhere. We see that they are going at their own free will.
They're not all saying that.
No.
It is very evident. It is very evident. We can see the video where 42 of them have been, are being shown in a video with Mr. Eknath Shinde. So one can make out very clearly that they are there at their own by their own present will. So
Clyde, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, see, Nidhi, it's easy to justify, and talk about how, the fact of the matter is those people who came back, okay, they came back and they narrated their story. There are people who were asked to meet in Thana to go for dinner, then they move a little ahead and then they, let's go up to Surat. Obviously, I agree, they are not children that you tie them, but there has been some sort of pressure. You have Mr. Nitin Deshmukh, who was an MLA, said that he was injected with some kind of a fluid and he didn't know what was happening. There was another one who realized that, they're moving towards Gujarat. So he stepped down, with that excuse to go to the washroom or take a leak, and then he walked back to Mumbai. So there are situations like this that have actually occurred, and people are narrating that whole story. That's the whole point. What Mr. Uddhav Thackeray did say yesterday, that if you want me to resign, come here, sit with me, and you take my letter. What Mr. Sanjay Raut said, that why don't you come here, explain to us your reason why we should not be in this government, and we will take a look at it. See, the thing is, all these MLAs claim that, they could not talk to Mr. Thackeray. I do not believe that, because we are here in the ground level and we see that they have access. Okay, if they did not have access, right, they say they could speak to Mr. Eknath Shinde and explain to him. But Mr. Eknath Shinde always had access to the chief minister. Why did he not then go and narrate this whole, woes or whatever, displeasure that they had? You should have told them. CM.
Okay, but let me ask.
And one last point, Nidhi, please, a request. Last point. What I keep hearing, and I want your viewers to know, and I want you to know, what I keep hearing is, they keep talking about the Hindutva of Balasaheb Thackeray, Hindutva plank that they were talking. My thing is, Mr. Eknath Shinde, when this alliance was being formed, okay, 2.5, almost 3 years ago, he was an integral part of all the discussion. Did he not think of this Hindutva plan while he was going with the NCP and Congress
also
then?
A minister,
what happened in 2.5 years?
Yeah, the chief whip of the party also.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened in 2.5 years? We all know what is happening. And I think in the days to come, we will know the real truth when they come.
Okay, Tavleen Singh wants to come in. Yes, Tavleen, go ahead.
Yeah. Nidhi, let's talk about the elephant in the room, okay? Let's not pretend that this wasn't organized by the BJP. It's not an accident that they go to 2 BJP states.
Obviously
that they're not allowed to meet anyone, that they're actually almost prisoners of, and that BJP senior leaders are with them, herding them around. So, it's disingenuous to say that this was just a revolt inside the Shiv Sena. It certainly was not. And we should need to address that if we want to stop this kind of thing from happening in the future. So let's not pretend that this was just an ordinary revolt. If it was, they would have been in Mumbai and not in Guwahati.
Absolutely. Justice Nandrajog, just a quick question, about the disqualification of MLAs. Can the conduct of these MLAs outside the House possibly invite disqualification? For example, they did have this meeting in Guwahati where they announced a different chief whip. Therefore, does that amount to disqualification and anti-party activities?
I doubt. I have serious doubts about it.
So it would have to be in the House?
Yes.
Okay. Geeta Bhatt, quick response from you on what Clyde Castro was saying. And yes, let's not pretend that the BJP isn't part of it. It very much is. BJP ministers are at the hotel. Leaders, Hemanta Biswa Sarma's close aides are at this Guwahati hotel. It's obviously not just to say hi.
No one ever asked, Shiv Sena about where their electoral ethics and where was their electoral morality at the time when they decided, to switch their alliance after the 2019 assembly elections results came out. And also what Mr. Castro was saying, even if you look in terms of governance, Home Minister is in jail, Mr. Anil Deshmukh, under charges of more than corruption of 100 crores. Another minister, Nawab Malik, is also at present, in jail.
Can I answer that?
And so, and the way during COVID, the kind of situation which was there in Mumbai and other parts, the way it was dealt, even in terms of their governance, they were, the Maha.
But actually, Mumbai handled it pretty well. All things considered,
Can I come in?
we collapsed in Delhi. But Clyde, I've got 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds. Let him answer.
I'll quickly reply to that.
Yeah.
I'll quickly reply to that. Ms. Bhatt started with the fact that, what are the moral ethics of Shiv Sena and, what they did. So when she says that, is she trying to say that two wrongs make a right? So if that was wrong and this also wrong is okay, no, it doesn't work that way. That wasn't wrong. This is wrong because there's absolute horse trading.
You're
There's absolutely a BJP government that works in there.
And so are you trying to say that was also wrong?
Ms. Bhatt, I didn't speak. I can speak over you, but I didn't speak when you were speaking. So let's have the courtesy here. Okay. The fact of the matter is that
I have 10 seconds.
what the
10
Shiv Sena
seconds.
did. Yeah. So the governance has been good. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra has been in the top 5 as best Chief Minister. Announced by the government of Maharashtra. We have done very well in terms of COVID.
I have to leave it there tonight. Sorry about this because we had so many developments breaking while the program was on, but lots more to come. And I think as Justice Nandajog says, we're here for a while. This story ain't going anywhere. See you soon. Good night.